you see, that's fake. Believe, that's all you need. Can't sleep, but I dream. I see.
All right, I'm back at you with another episode of How I See It. I am DaLaun Dillard. Happy to have you here, and we are having a very important and enlightening conversation here this morning. I'm joined by Donnie Houston, DJ, producer, podcast host. You hold a lot of titles. Happy to have you with us.
Man,
here.
thanks for being here. Thank you for having me, man.
And Ashlee Young, radio host with iHeartMedia. Happy to have you here as well.
Thank you.
Yet again.
Yeah, I know, again. Thank you.
So we're talking about Diddy this morning. Obviously, we know Diddy is facing a lot of legal drama right now, facing a number of allegations from sexual assault and sexual abuse to human trafficking, hostile work environment, a lot of legal issues from a number of people. So we are unpacking that here this morning. And happy to have you with us because I know both of you are very well versed in the culture and music space for sure. So when you first heard about both, I'll start with you, Ashlee, when both of you heard about these allegations coming to light, and these allegations obviously have been kind of swirling around. Many of us have heard about this, about Diddy, for quite some time. What was your initial reaction when you started hearing this, and then the lawsuit started coming out after that?
So I don't think we talked about it. I just spoke about it with Donnie. But I used to be the intern for Diddy, actually, in 2014. When I was in college in Florida, he had the Revolts conference that happened in Miami every year. And the first 2 years, I was an intern. So I worked for Revolt. And here and there, we would see him, but we would hear him mostly because he did just like those viral videos of him like going crazy, throwing the phone. So like he's like that in real life, you know? So from my peers and just from what I witnessed, I saw like hostile situations, but they kind of chalked it up to, that's just the business. You know, that's the industry. If you want to work for Diddy, you got to go walk and get cheesecake or go, go do the things he asked you to do. So even though we heard rumblings of it, but no real evidence, like concrete evidence, it was like, okay, it's probably a conspiracy theory. Then especially when the video came out with Cassie, that was the, yeah, he did it moment, you know. So just seeing how our culture kind of embraces one of its biggest moguls that we've seen now kind of, you know, the curtains being revealed. It's just interesting to see how we treated, say, R. Kelly, to like, is that same thing going to happen to Diddy, you know?
Yeah, Donnie, how did you see it beforehand and how you see it now?
Well, man, I mean, it's like you said, you always hear these things like, oh, you know, he might be this way, he might be whatever. But when you see it, it's like, man, my man was looking crazy. You know, it was just, it just put it really into like, okay, it's not like a funny rumor or a lighthearted thing. Like, no, this man is like unhinged, you know what I mean? So it was unfortunate, man, because like, you know, bro, I really grew up in the 90s. So like Puff Daddy and the Family and Bad Boy, like those are like soundtracks to my life. You know what I mean? Certain moments, like, so it's just unfortunate, man.
Yeah, when a lot of these lawsuits and stuff started to surface, I know, for example, I think this was after maybe a couple of them have been out. Diddy issued a written statement on social media saying, he said, let me pull it, that these are sickening allegations. They are assassinating my character, and people are looking for a quick payday. And then when the video came out that CNN published with them in the hotel, that's when he kind of walked back and said, my behavior is inexcusable and I take full responsibility. So it's like, what if this video never came out?
Yeah.
Where would we be today?
Well, that statement he put out was before the raid. So the story is that all those years ago, whenever that happened, he paid the hotel staff for that video, so it never see the light of day. And that was the purpose of the raid, was to get that. And if that's true, then obviously he's trying to fluff up his character. But as soon as like the raid happened, they have this evidence and they're releasing it. Now he's walking it back. So it makes you think like, what else are you hiding? Like what else was a front that we just didn't have evidence for, you know?
Yeah. It seems like, and I did see some people weighing in, especially on social media, where it was kind of like people were kind of questioning Cassie at some point when in some of the allegations coming out. And then it's like, once this video comes out, it's like, oh, now we believe her. But it's like, why didn't you just believe her the first time?
To be honest, like this, just for me as a woman, it was the same, not to get off topic, it was the same with the Megan Tory situation. Why are we not believing women when they say that they're abused? Because they're against artists that you emotionally are attached to, but it's sad that it takes this to open your eyes to it, you know?
Yeah. Do you want to weigh in on that?
No, go ahead. We can go to the next one. I think she got it.
Yeah. So in terms of his legacy, because obviously all of these are allegations, he has not been convicted just yet. Now, some of these lawsuits, they settled. For example, the Cassie one, they settled the day after it was filed. Does this, I mean, in a sense, it would have to taint his legacy whether he's convicted or not at this point?
No question. No question, definitely. I mean, it's just like, it's like, and it's unfortunate because I hate to say this, but it's like the R. Kelly thing. You know what I mean? Like, if that can happen to R. Kelly, then I can't imagine this being something that just people just look over. You know what I mean? This isn't going to be a thing that people are upset about in the moment. Like, we saw this thing in real time. The times we're in right now, where everybody's super conscious about these types of situations and how you treat people and all these other types of things. I mean, it's unfortunate, man. Like I said, I mean, I grew up listening to Puff Daddy. There were times in my life where I wanted to be Puff Daddy and I was take that, you know what I mean? All that, even with, you know, he just released a really great album last year and I'm a part of the Recording Academy and I voted for that album. I'm like, no, this album should be, you know, in the run for like Album of the Year, R&B album, whatever the categories were. Like, I was really championing this album. Like,
the album was good.
It was great. It was like, oh, he's back in music, because a lot of his stuff has been like, you know, other businesses, Ciroc and Revolt and other type of things. It's like, oh, he's back at music and he hadn't lost a step. This is an incredible album, and it's like I haven't even wanted to listen to the album since. You know what I mean? Because it's like, who is this guy? You know?
Yeah. People y'all are connected to throughout the business, throughout the entertainment industry. What are you hearing from them in terms of their reaction to this and Diddy's, I guess, obviously his how he looks now? Yeah.
For me, I think, unfortunately, some people are, you know, have allegiance to him still. And I guess until the conviction, you know, happens. But as far as after the Cassie videos, kind of whenever, we even saw like 50 Cent even issued an apology, like, oh, you know, well, 50 Cent is doing a lot with Diddy right now. But we've seen a lot of people just kind of walk back, giving apologies for not believing her the first time. But I think, just as Donnie said, like, we grew up with him. We saw this man literally, his come up story, come from nothing. He's been a role model for a lot of us who don't have connections and want to make it to that level of success. And now we're seeing like, oh, this is what you were doing the whole time, like behind the scenes. Like, how can I support that going forward? But it makes it hard. For me personally, it was not hard to stop listening to R. Kelly music. It's very hard to try to navigate away from anything P. Diddy related.
Because he's like, produced and written, so he's had his hand on so much stuff in our generation. So it's like, dang, like now this has impacted our generation.
Yeah. Even as a DJ, I haven't played I Need a Girl in at least a month and a half. You know what I mean?
But,
like, I still play Biggie records and stuff like that, but it's still one of them things. Is like I don't really know. Like as I'm playing, I'm watching to see like, are people, you know, it's a conversation picking up when the Puff Daddy records come on. You know, how are people reacting? Because when the thing happened with R. Kelly, I was extremely conscious of that, of like, if this offends people, I ain't touching it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if Diddy's gonna get to that level, but.
How is that good? Because I mean, it's different with R. Kelly, because Diddy has his own music, but R. Kelly mainly had his own catalog versus Diddy. I mean, he was producing so many people's stuff, so like, how does that work if you've produced it, but it's not really your, I mean, it's his record, but you know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
R. Kelly too, because like a lot of the Aaliyah records.
It's a lot of Aaliyah, Maxwell. I mean, it's not too many R&B songs from like
Justin Bieber,
the 90s, early 2000s that R. Kelly hasn't touched.
Yeah, and we still, I guess, we're still playing them, so I mean, because it's still their song, regardless of, you know,
who
his
wrote
hand
it?
on it. And even looking back on like Making the Band, for example, how he acted on that show.
It was funny at the time. We all laughed at, you know, Chappelle did the skit and all that. Like, all of that was funny. And you have to look back and be like, oh, wait, like, how are these people really being treated, like, off camera? You know what I mean? It was entertainment to us, but this was, like, potentially, like, you know, life-changing.
Their life,
Yeah, but then you also have the difference in, like, testimony. So if you did watch Making the Band with Danity Kane, Dawn from the band, like, she's very much still, because she was part of Dirty Money, she's still very much, like, pro Diddy. But Aubrey is not holding nothing back, you know. They have two very different stories, I guess, or a different relationship, what happened between the two of them. But to me, I just tend to believe if a whole bunch of people are saying the same thing, we can't, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. You can't act like there's no truth to it, you know. But I guess everyone is just waiting, because he is a powerful person in the industry. They're waiting for that second shoe to drop to where they're like, okay, I can't deny this is a real thing.
And y'all know he was giving people their masters back. What was his last year? I believe in 2023 was giving several people that after years and years and years. And then it seems like this came out later in the year of 2023. So you would have to imagine maybe he knew this was coming.
Well, supposedly there's supposed to be stipulations with those things. Like if you signed out to receive your masters, it was like you can only speak positively about Diddy. You can't speak about any negative interactions you had with him. Like he was trying to clean this slate, I guess back then.
Yeah. So he had to have known that this was coming. For people who, for example, I know D.L. Hughley, for example, was speaking about this, and he was saying, if you knew about this and you didn't say anything, you are not a witness, you are an accomplice. And it had to be so many people in his camp that knew this was going on, powerful people, either who were involved in this or just knew and didn't say nothing. And it's like, this is unfortunately common in the entertainment business right now, where you know something's going on and you're not saying nothing.
I think it's the old saying from your parents or grandparents, like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. So I think it's more people saying, and then even, I don't want to bring down a black man. I don't want to bring any bad attention or negativity to his name. And he was one of probably the most powerful mogul at one time, not even just in hip hop, but when he was running the marathon in TRL all those years ago. Like, he is a huge figure in pop culture. I think people just didn't want to see the repercussions by bringing any negative attention his way. Even if nothing came of it, just even speaking on his name negatively was like, you get some type of, reciprocation, some type of lashback back in the day.
Would y'all be surprised if there's more people involved whose names will come up throughout the next several months? And for example, I know Cuba Gooding Jr.'s name has come up in some of this, in some of the lawsuits. Would it be surprising to y'all if more people come up?
It wouldn't be surprising. It's just certain names I hope don't come up because I'm running out of people I grew up on. You know what I
mean? Yeah, we'll definitely see for sure. What do y'all think would be next with this? Obviously, he still has to face his day in court and all of that stuff. As far as his legacy, he's already had to give his honorary degree back to Howard and all the money I believe that he donated. What do y'all think could come next from this?
Well, he also had to give his key back, right?
To the city of New York.
For him, like I said, we're waiting for his day in court, but I also feel like it's going to ripple effect to other people of his same stature. So Jay-Z's name is being thrown around a lot. And I haven't personally heard anything about Jay-Z, but I wasn't in the industry back in the 90s, so I don't have those types of stories. I just feel like people are going to get way more, I don't want to say critical, but a little more nitpicky about everyone and like really dig into people's past that we, raise as our role models pretty much, in the industry.
No, it seems like we see it quite often whenever someone gets big or go viral. Then you start looking at their old tweets. People start looking up stuff, and then somehow it's like a tweet from 2012 comes up where you were saying something wild, whatever it may be. So I was gonna say, you imagine other people's backgrounds and whatever skeletons they may have in the closet probably are gonna come up next after this.
Yeah, pretty much. I just, like Donnie said, we running out of people that we grew up on, It's people that are like legends that we probably have on our wish list. We want to work with Sunday or meet or whatever it is. But when stories like this come out, it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, because there's so many people that he put on, to say or signed to his label. Where does their legacy go? If we're not playing his produced music, what happens to them? What's the chain reaction after all this? Yeah,
is this down? To y'all, especially working in the entertainment industry, does this speak volumes about the entertainment industry? Because it's like, this is, a lot of times this is happening, like we said, and nobody's talking about it. And then it comes out years later and it's like, I looked up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that meme from
From Surprise, you saying?
Yeah.
Not surprised, but just where it's like, dang, this is frustrated to know, like, this is happening in the industry. And
it's unfortunate, but I think, for me, I can be completely honest. There's not too much that's going to surprise me. I can just be disappointed by finding out that who may participate in what, actions or whatever. But as far as the awareness of these things happening, it's definitely happening. It's been happening. And unfortunately, it's going to continue to happen. Yeah. Because it's an industry where there's not very many opportunities. And people are willing to do and accept whatever for those opportunities. So
it's pretty much like he said, it's an industry based on favors. So and what those favors are and entail, that's between you and whoever. But like he said, there's very little opportunities. So if you want to stand out in a nation full of people trying to come out as a host or a podcast or a radio host, or a rapper or artist, what are you going to do to get that? And that's unfortunate, but that's also kind of just like human nature, like survival of the fittest in a way.
I mean, when you were saying you were working for Revolt, it was like you were hearing how he was talking to people, and it's like, oh, well, that's just Diddy.
Listen, I would tell you, when I was in college at 21, 22, and they call you and say, we're not going to pay you, but you get an opportunity to intern for free for Diddy for 3 days in Revolt.
And you're gonna think about.
And you're gonna be around. Yeah. That first year, he had Scooter Braun there, Travis Scott when he first came out, Bryson Tiller was there, SZA was there when she first, like, the opportunity just to be in the room is like, okay, I'll figure it out, you know. But now that this is literally 10 years ago, 10 years later, what was really happening there? Like, I heard things from like his staff and my other peers that were interning, but we're new. So if we're being told we're entry-level interns, we're being told like this is just how it is. What else do we have to go with?
Yeah,
what else
you
do we have
want
to
the
go with?
opportunity.
You know?
Just like some of these people who worked with him, who then they dealt with whatever they say they dealt with. It's like they wanted the opportunity, and then this
Here
happens.
we are. Yeah, pretty much. It's unfortunate, but we need more positive role models.
Yeah,
people,
we need, for sure. Well, we'll see, I guess, what happens next with, with his lawsuits and things like that, and hopefully nobody else is implied, but unfortunately, you can't control that.
Just stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said something that raised my antennas, especially about the Meg case, because it's like so many people didn't believe Meg, and then now here we are today, and it still seems like, for example, she is dealing with. I mean, every time you turn around, there's something happening with Meg, and people aren't believing her. The sex tape that just came out, for example, and it was AI.
Yeah.
And people wanted to automatically assume it was real. So
it was crazy. What makes me wonder, like, she just had her show here this past weekend, right? Sold out, crazy, hometown hero. But it's people, even in the industry, that are still, this man is locked up already. Tory Lanez is serving time. And they're still like kind of going at her, blaming her. Like,
and it's like, is Tory Lanez the hill you really want to die on? Like, of all artists, I'm not saying anybody deserves to just, if they're guilty, then they're guilty.
Yeah.
But Tory Lanez, of all people, like, really?
I mean, to me, it was like the Drake reference was like, why are we? And then she has her own beef going on with people, but it's like, why are people so quick to say, to make light of it?
Yeah.
Like, no, this woman really was like attacked, and there's people trying to pit against her, and to me that just seems like crazy that grown men are publicly saying, no, I'm gonna go ahead and side with your abuser on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and ride with him. But it's 2024, so this, like Donnie said, I'm not surprised by anything. Pretty much, I'm just disappointed in people's actions.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Well, I appreciate y'all both being here today and weighing in. And it's not guilty yet, but we'll see what obviously happens in court, in his day in court, and we'll see what happens next with his legacy. For sure. Appreciate y'all both. Ashlee and Donnie for being here. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you for being here as well. We'll see you next week for another episode of How I See It. We'll see you then.
You see, that's fate.